Hello everybody, this is Gazraki the Geek, and I'm going to be doing videos about Superman for the next couple of months because of Summer of Superman. I hope you enjoy the videos. A grounded, realistic take on Superman could work, but it depends on how it's executed. Superman Lois managed to do this successfully. The Clark Kent felt like a separate character, a dorky, nervous, lovable, mild-mannered guy in comparison to the Snyderverse version, which felt like just Superman with glasses. The Superman was lovable in other ways. He went out of his way to take people away from the conflict. He stopped to save one person from a car that was crashing, and was proud of that person commenting on his costume. In contrast, the Snyderverse version didn't do much to avoid damage in his fights, and seemed to show more anguish from killing Zod than he did from all the destruction he caused previously. The initial Kryptonian antagonist was also executed very well. He didn't have a one-note, the humans must be destroyed mentality. Yes, his plan was also to take over the planet, but he wasn't doing it because he was stuck in the past or had an old grudge. Tal had lived on Earth since he was a child, as Morgan Edge, an infamous businessman. Zod, on the other hand, had been on Earth for a few hours after escaping the Phantom Zone without even seeing one human decide they weren't worthy of living. The two motives are similar, but Tal garnered his opinion from experience living on the planet and being persecuted for years, while Zod was fueled by the I've been wronged, so others must pay mentality. The way they are dealt with is also different. In Superman Lois, they are captured alive and put in a prison cell, because Superman believes that everybody is deep down redeemable. Whereas Zod being dealt with by being killed is fundamentally against what Superman believes in about everyone being redeemable. That majorly goes against the whole essence of Superman. It takes an extreme situation or event for him to even consider that. And this early on in his career, he shouldn't be this far gone to think killing is fine. Both also had a human antagonist who initially hated Superman. Ideally, in both cases, it should have been Lex Luthor. In Superman and Lois, John Henry Irons arrives from an alternative Earth and hates Superman because he destroyed his Earth. In the Snyderverse, Bruce Wayne hates Superman because, for some reason, he blames Superman solely for the destruction caused by Superman and Zod's fight. If the intention is we're meant to disagree with Batman, making Superman cause all this destruction, even indirectly, kind of makes you agree with Batman, aka Bruce, in some form. In Superman Lois, we were given a better reason to understand why John Henry Irons hated Superman. He had taken over the planet, and he had killed his version of Lois Lane, who he was married to and had a kid with. But one of the things that Superman Lois was most successful with was the whole Doomsday storyline. The story was built up over a few seasons. Just like in Batman vs. Superman, Doomsday was an altered Kryptonian, but instead of going immediately from him being killed in the previous movie to the next movie him being resurrected as Doomsday, we had some build-up. First, he appeared as a Bizarro Superman from the Bizarro Earth, in a homage to the original Doomsday appearance, where he first appeared breaking through from underground. Next, he was built up over a season or so as one of the antagonists. He was even given backstory. Eventually he was defeated until near the end of season 3, where he returned and was mutated into Doomsday. But in Batman vs. Superman, there hadn't been enough build-up for you to really even care that Superman died, considering he'd been around for about a movie and a half by this point. In Superman Lois, he was established hero to the world. While he had his detractors, the death would still make an impact, because the majority of the world still loves Superman. In contrast, in Batman vs. Superman, the Superman in that universe was mostly either hated or mistrusted. So when he died, it did not make any sense why people would be so bothered by his death, other than the people that knew him personally, and the few that loved him regardless of what he'd done publicly. The little impact it might have had was immediately thrown aside when at the end of Batman vs. Superman, it was immediately confirmed that Superman was still alive in some form. So it wasn't a case of would he come back to life, it was how many movies after this would he come back to life. In Superman Lois, there's a whole few episodes between him dying and him coming back, which really emphasizes the loss of people that knew him or loved him. The architect of Doomsday in both versions was Lex Luthor, but the Superman Lois version was much more physically and intellectually imposing. In Batman vs Superman, he was a fairly small, less intelligent, and not very imposing character. In Superman Lois, you could really believe that he was Lex Luthor. In Batman vs Superman, it seemed like he was written for a different character and they just decided to name him Lex. In essence, why Superman Lois succeeded where the Snyderverse failed was because they built up the characters. They didn't exchange what made Superman popular by making him more grounded and realistic. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around in the next couple of months for more Superman videos. Kazuraki the Geek, out. And please like my videos. It's what Superman would do. If you're a Superman fan, just kidding. Do what you do.